draft begins for Game 3. Immortals versus Leviathan, vying for their lives in the qualifiers here. Winner of this qualifier, let me just confirm quickly, is going to go to face Optic Gaming in the second stage of these qualifiers. This is the semifinals, and it is a double elim bracket, so loser of this series does not yet go home, but the winner gets that coveted spot in the finals of stage 1. MRP, Fluff, and stuff here. Bring you the action for Game 3. Fluff, do you feel like Leviathan needs to pivot as far as the draft goes, or it was just kind of in that particular scenario, Forev kind of taking over the ball lane?
I think that just the Razor pick as second overall was the weirdest decision, just because they only saw a Wyvern, and at that point he's just subject to being counterpicked. But during the lobby, I noticed that Leviathan got first pick. And first pick, usually you get a counter pick a little bit more. As you can see in the second phase, you get to pick after Immortals every single time.
Right.
So they're going to be able to shore up their matchups a lot better. I think, if they would have, they picked Undying and Sand King in the second phase, they could have just bumped one of those up to first phase and then maybe identified a better hero than Razor in that instance. But I think that was just the big thing right there.
Leviathan will get their highly regarded Jakiro though. That's been banned both games thus far by Immortals. But again, Immortals gonna go for the Ogre Undying opening here. Actually, kind of taking a page out of Leviathan's book.
I mean, not kinda. They are. They literally stole their picks. The Ogre Undying was honestly a really big deal for Leviathan. That kind of salvaged their lanes. The mistakes they made were the Sand King rotating to the safe lane and Razor having to go to the off lane. That was only possible because the supports are so strong. If those supports are a little bit weaker, they would have got run over from that kind of swap. So I'm kind of worried for Leviathan not sticking to what was working for them, but maybe they have something up their sleeves. I know that Whitebeard really likes Jakiro.
Yeah,
Complexity is picking lots of Jakiro as well at the major, but I'm a little bit worried about the Quap because as flexible as she is, she isn't really the best safe laner. Some teams will do it. Immortals, VTJ Storm, they'll do it in the NA scene. But again, you kind of show your cards a little bit early. But maybe they can ban out some bad matchups or things they don't want to play against there. That's a big question mark for me, picking the Quap that early.
Yeah. See if it is addressed by Immortals going forward. We do see the Tidehunter ban come out from Immortals. Kind of one of the more resilient offlaners as far as pressure early game from this support duo. So wise ban there. Batrider, no surprise, going to be banned by Leviathan, as Forev did certainly play his part in the Game 2 Immortals win.
Yeah, he just right now again it's all about the lanes. Batrider is just one of those lane dominating type of heroes. There's not a ton of heroes that can lane well versus him, and I think Whitebeard recognizes that, or at least someone in Leviathan called that out. But again, with the draft phase, not really abusing the fact that they get a pick after Immortals every time in second phase. Usually you want to get as good of as a mid matchup as possible, or a good carry matchup, stuff like that. But when you show Quap this early, it's not that flexible. It can't really be an offlaner, for example. So you're not really, confusing your opponent that much.
And the support duo more than, of course you could flex the Undying to a 3, but more than likely showing already for Immortals, and with the Beastmaster pretty much solidified. So it wouldn't have been any harm for Leviathan to pick themselves a support in that second phase. And so we do see some pretty heavy long duration single target lockdown coming out from the Beastmaster against the Queen of Pain. Should be really nice to have. Also a little bit of push with the Inner Beast aura that Ogre and Undying don't provide you in spades. Of course, you get the Bloodlust from the Ogre, which is nice, but now with the Inner Beast, Immortals certainly, just with these 3 heroes, can be pushing structures early.
Yeah, a lot of the offlaners got banned out. Tidehunter, Omni Knight, Batrider. Beastmaster is one of those heroes that can kind of lane versus most things, pressure some lanes. They know that they have to show their picks first, and obviously they're going to pick their 5, 4, 3 starting off the first 3 picks because they want to conceal as much as possible their lanes. And it's kind of you ideally want to win like 2 lanes it's really hard to go for 3-lane wins. So you can kind of concede the fact that, like, okay, yeah, we show our Beastmaster, like, yeah, counter pick him, it's fine, but they have to make those moves in that position on the draft. They have to show first.
Right.
So Leviathan's probably going to pick something that can lane well versus Beastmaster. I would like to see them delay it a bit, like pick their other support here. I think they should stick with the same theme of having strong laners. Like, Jakiro's not a weak laner by any means, just not on the same caliber as Undying or Ogre in terms of pressure, but it's not terrible. They could still pick up some type of 4-position hero that can help them out in their laning phase. That was the key to their success in both games. Even in the last game where BSJ had such a bad start, Monkeys was #1 in net worth, and Garter was doing fine, and that's all because of the supports.
Speaking of Monkeys, Leviathan going to pick up the Sand King once again, so definitely a possibility for him to grab that. Could always flex it back to the 4 role, this Sand King, but Immortal's going to respond almost immediately, picking up the Storm Spirit here. So expect, potentially an anti-mage band to come out, but definitely very synergistic with the Beastmaster pick is that Storm Spirit with his mobility.
And the Ogre especially, just attack speed is just so good on Storm. That's probably one of the most valuable things besides mana for him as a stat. If they want to pick anti-mage here, it has to come right now. Otherwise, it might not be there. The anti-mage is not really going to lane that well versus BM and Dying Ogre. Lots of pressure, but you kind of have that security of the fact that Storm has to deal with that. Timbersaw. So that's either that might be a support tanking, or like, I think Monkeys really loves playing Timber, so I think that's the most likely scenario. I don't think it's going to be mid or anything like that.
Haven't seen much BSJ Timbersaw either in my time, so I would have to agree with you on that front. He is pretty good against the Beast, however, if they do lane him again in that kind of matchup.
I can see them going for that. I mean, as far as the good thing about Undying though is that Decay is really nice against Timbers. Probably like one of the only heroes that can actually, as a support, like really threaten the Timber on lane. So that's one bad thing going for them. But Timber, 3 strength heroes, he doesn't offer that much lockdown for the Storm though. So that's something that I'm concerned about as well.
Really relying almost entirely on the Sand King at this point. Ice Path.
And eventually an Orchid on Quap. Eventually.
Ice Path certainly far from reliable to lock down that Storm, but yeah, I think you kind of touch upon the major point is that they want to run it with Ogre, Undying Beast, and to some extent, at least into the early mid game, Whirling Death should be able to kind of punish that. Night Stalker ban, interesting one from Immortals. Yeah, so core Night Stalker going to be removed from the pool. I suppose Crippling Fear could serve as the poor man's Orchid early on up against the Storm Spirit, but yeah, very interesting. Only Immortals by that thought process, but Bloodseeker, this is certainly kind of a targeted one for Leviathan side. They've already got the Beastmaster and the Storm Spirit, so up-tempo kind of play from Immortal side. Bloodseeker would only, prove to supplement that. Is very good against the Timbersaw.
Wait, so they're not really running a traditional carry on the Leviathan side. This is going to be some kind of like bloodbath in the mid game again. Just no carry. Timbersaw with Bloodstone, Quap trying to snowball. They're using Jakiro for the push.
We have not seen any sort of dodging of this Undying pick thus far in the series. It's all been kind of fight fire with fire. So yeah, it's definitely made for some exciting mid games. But do you expect a safe lane starter here?
God, I mean, no. I think that's might be support, and it's core Quap, Sand King, and Timber.
Okay.
Maybe? I'm not sure. But the one thing about this is that Storm generally as a hero, in the past, it was more viable as a strategy to kind of push into him before his Bloodstone, because the Storm doesn't really want to fight. And even when he does build Bloodstone, he kind of wants to go for pickoffs and farm to his next item. If you kind of all in the Storm and just like take him down while his charges, he doesn't have Bloodstone, or just whittle down his charges, that's one strategy. I think it's a lot less viable now, just because of the fact that it's so hard to go high ground, especially the only push is really the Jakiro.
I'm telling you, Fluff. BSJ Slardar, dude. I'm telling you, man, it's Leviathan. Because I mean, the reason I said is to build on your point that Monkeys loves to play this Timber.
Yeah, I mean, VSJ wouldn't play any of those heroes.
Yeah.
Of those three. So weird though. they're all in.
Do they put Monkeys 1v1 against the Beastmaster and try to
They
aggro?
go aggro. Yeah.
All right, we'll see how aggro Tri-Lane into Undying Necrophos works out. It definitely doesn't seem like the most attractive on paper. But
this might be crumbling. I don't know. I'm not sure.
5th pick, Slardar. Leviathan did have the last pick in this one. Duo going to pick up his Necrophos. We'll see how these lanes shake down.
I mean, they have a path to victory. It's just very high execution, very fast tempo. They need to take lots of fights, obviously, and push down the towers with the Jakiro. They need to snowball. It's definitely possible, but I never like to be in that position personally as a player. And I'm sure that they're going to feel the pressure that they don't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah, it feels like an unforgiving lineup, and certainly that's something kind of creeping in the back of your head. It is looks like kind of the more standard loadout though. Monkey's waking his way down with the offlane loadout, and BSJ making his way top.
One of the problems here is that neither the Timber nor the Slardar can lane very well versus the Necro.
Right.
So there's no laning options for them. They kind of have to go standard. The problem is as well is that, again, they have to snowball play high tempo, but these supports, the Undying and the Ogre, they are going to slow this game down for Leviathan, and they're going to make it hard for them to win the lanes that are already kind of troublesome.
Yeah. And certainly Immortals have a couple of heroes in Beast and Storm that fit the bill as far as snowballing goes with their advantage. If they are able to garner one in the early game or generate one. Monkey's right around the corner from Dubu. Dubu does see him. Starts to put some right clicks into him. Ignite will be there as well. We'll see if they force the Timber Chain skill. For now, it's just going to be the reactive armor from Monkeys, and he'll be bodied off of the rune. Top lane Whitebeard on the low ground. Throws out the dual breath. But it'll be the standard for the first time in this series. Two bounty runes aside.
Yeah, nice adjustment. Nushan blocked mid for the co-op, so she got the bounty this time, and the block was not bad compared to the last game. Undying's going to be a big problem for top. Obviously, Slardar's strength hero is going to really feel the pain, and Jakiro alone is not really going to stop his lane.
Carter skilled his blink here, level 1, to dodge the ignite coming out from Dubu. And they get a good amount of damage done to him, but it is going to mean no Shadow Strike in the lane against the MP Storm Spirit.
That was an interesting decision to blink the Shadow Strike, or blink the Ignite. XD. Top lane.
Crush goes out. Yeah, they have the dual breath as well, and with Nusham's rotation in, it's an easy kill on the Undying. Now trying to body block up Nusham into Forev. And Forev, high base armor hero is this Beastmaster. I'll just begin to trade into the Sand King. Carter looking to eclipse level 2. He should get it here, but yeah, we'll see how he can fare in this lane. Already MP with a pretty good lead as far as CS goes.
I was going to say one advantage of Slardar at least is that as a core, he can offer a lot for the early game skirmishes. Nusham definitely wants to stay around top mid. Like, he's not going to pressure bottom. Necro's not going to die. Storm's being babysit by an Ogre. They definitely have kill potential in the top lane, so it's not like all is lost, but they have to really focus on this lane the most. Get BSJ far ahead possible.
Crush goes out. They have the sprint there as well. BSJ has another crush in a second. And 4F pretty tanky, but may just end up dropping here. Caustic Slow is going to be there. And Nusham with the last right click does find themselves a second kill for Leviathan in this top safe lane. Febby going to clean up the bounty runes in the meantime, but certainly not ideal losing his offlaner. Now MP in the mid lane actually taking quite a bit of damage. Will end up salving up. And Garter just has a mango and a branch coming out, but does salve up himself as well.
Jakiro ported bottom. That's kind of an interesting decision. He's going to see if he can put pressure on Necro. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out, but It could, potentially.
Just the level 1 dual breath right now for Whitebeard. Unfortunately not present for the kill, second kill at least in top lane. So 2 kills for Leviathan. Overall, CS slightly favored for Immortals. Rather even early game. BSJ going to get a crush off top lane. It's only onto Forev. Burrow Strike comes through as well. Febby is nearby, has a Soul Rip and a Decay, so not feeling all that threatened is this Immortals off lane, just yet at least. Now BSJ jumping forward, gets the crush only onto the Undying. Wild Axes will fly. And
yeah, they're getting so much value from these sticks. So it's like he's just trying to waste his mana there. They can regen up.
yeah,
I think the Jakiro porting bottom was a big problem there. Like, you can already see that there's a lot of pressure that they can apply. They just kind of need that third hero to push it over the edge. Like now Jakiro comes in.
2-man crush. Yeah, Febby does get a 2-man decay off here, but even with the sticks, he should end up dropping.
Ooh.
They end up getting the Sand King, and Forev still fairly tanking. Big decay coming out from the Undying. Whitebeard does get the slow off though, and this attack speed slow is certainly an underrated aspect of the dual breath, as Forev can't continue to pressure forward. BSJ sprinting up. Whitebeard, a couple more right clicks, and they do get the dual breath off. It's going to cancel the salve. Now the Burrow Strike comes through. BSJ salving on the west side, still running through. Gets the crush up onto the Undying, and Soul Rip will keep up. Forev, nicely played by Febby on the back end there. Will keep his Beastmaster, alive.
Yeah, but you can see the potential they have as a lane. It's not weak at all. Sardar can offer the stun, but the fact that they didn't like apply the pressure in those earlier levels, earlier minutes, means that they just barely had enough HP to survive those stuns.
Top lane, they do get the stun combination off. Decay will be there. Liquid Fire going to drop though, and Caustic Ticks will be able to kill off Febby in the top lane, as they knew Forev had backed since he was very low and out of regen. So they do take advantage of their opportunity there. Garter back towards the mid lane. 18 and 11 to the 24 and 8 of his laning counterpart MP. Speaking of which, and make his way over to the shrine here, where Dubu has prepared him a stack in the meantime.
Yeah, this is a high value shrine if they can get Sand King walk over there right now. Really good timing as well because they just finished that skirmish. I want to know if BSJ will head over. Probably not. He has enough stick. Quap's taking the sweet time here. I think the supports are probably like, please. Oh, and he's like, okay, just use it. So not getting the value for the Quap.
Yeah, it must be thinking that the Storm Spirit's in the jungle, and indeed he'd be correct about that. So as he gets his bottle delivered out, maybe perhaps going to look to secure the 6-minute rune here. Whitebeard rotating through the river. Febby on the high ground should catch a glimpse of this Jakiro, and indeed he does. Whitebeard does have a couple of wards, but certainly not going to place one at this moment with Febby nearby. And bottom lane, Dubu rotating in. Monkey's rather difficult kill, 3 levels in the reactive. But they do have the Reaper Scythe available for QO.
Yeah, they're going to be able to kill him at most stages of the game, so it's not really that big of a problem that he's getting so much in the lane here.
Wild Axe is going to connect on 2 top. Dual Breath went on onto Febby. Burrow comes through 2, and Whitebeard just going to TP out wisely, as he could have been in a little trouble. Now Garter going to rotate through. He has very little mana, and yeah, they do cancel the Jakiro TP. He does end up paying for it, but they'll get both kills, and Garter's help is enough for his squad to get a 2-for-1 trade up in the river.
You would expect them to win these early engagements. They have a lot of early game, mid game type heroes. So it's kind of okay that this is happening for Immortals. It's really going to depend on like how this starter builds. I don't know if he's going to go for Armlet or Blink Daggers, what item build he's going to go for, and that's really going to determine the pace of this game. But it has to be rather fast, I would say.
Well, they are getting a good amount of farm on Monkeys. He's almost exactly at parity with QO in the bot lane as far as CS goes. 37. His person tries to throw the chakram out. QO is a little bit low. Does have 7 wand charges, however. So should be fairly survivable. However, Whitebeard rotating in with Nusham. And Nusham coming under the tower. QO going to make it off to the fog. Chakram comes through, and Burrow Strike does connect kind of blindly. He gets the Ghost Shroud off, though, and the stick and the pulse going to keep him more than healthy. Nusham going to rotate out. Monkey's really not feeling threatened at all. Misses the chain, however. And Dual Breath going to fly out on the north side. Febby trying to work into Nusham. Has a Decay in 1 second. And Stick Decay will kill off the Sand King. Monkey's going to miss his chain on the tree there. And Monkey's just kind of being kited around on the Timber. Chakram's going to be there, though, with the chain. Should be able to kill off the Undying. He's still alive. Death Pulse going to keep him up. Monkey's missing a chain as the trees are dead. And Will with the Whirling Death and the Chakram. And Monkey's still getting his bearings here on the Timber Saw. Will finally be able to net a kill. And they TP in BSJ as well. Nusham looking for some aggression, but they won't find it. And going to start to commit to this tower on the other side of the map. 1 level in the inner beast here for the Beastmaster, so shouldn't be all that concerned as far as trades go in the way of structural damage. And they do have the Liquid Fire for Whitebeard here, bottom lane.
Now BM's going to be able to apply a ton of pressure at top lane. And we see that, the damage you would expect from a Timber, not really going to work against a Necrophos. You just heal to full instantly in that fight. That's kind of going to be the way that this game will go for the rest. Unless Quap can get a really nice ultimate on the Necro, it's going to be hard for him to kill him.
MP taking out a big stack up in the Dire safe lane. And looking to eclipse his level 7 mark soon, as bottom lane does go down. Corrosive Haze going to fly out onto Dubu. Meanwhile, top lane going in on Monkeys would be a big kill for them to find. His MP. Primal Roar will be their mid-chain. Lovely placement by Forev, and they do end up getting the kill on the Timbersaw as bot lane. Dubu with the Bloodlust was able to outrun BSJ, and he survives. They'll get a little bit of damage done on this tier 1, however, they do lose their tier 1 bot lane for Immortals.
Top will be fine. Timber can just board up again and defend it. It looks like BSJ is going to go for the Midas, so that's the way he's going to scale into the game. It's probably the right way to go. Otherwise, he's really all in on the Blink Dagger, so I mean, as far as carry slaughter goes, that's the way you're going to scale into the game. Actually, no, Timber doesn't have board up, so that tower will go down, but he's going to be fine laning versus the Beastmaster top. It was just, there was a lot of heroes ganking him there. Immortals correctly saw that Leviathan was running at Dubu with 3 heroes, so they could go for that dive, and that was an easy pickoff for them.
Garter up in the top lane will be joined by Monkeys. And now they'll find themselves a Forev, who does not have the Primal Roar for 15 seconds. Febby nearby, though, is going to drop the Tombstone down. 2-man Decay is there. Soul Rip, not available just yet. And Sonic Wave actually connects through both of them. Forev down. Now Monkeys looking to pursue out Febby. Catches him with the Chakram Slow. Whirling Death will be there as well. Has a chain available. Waiting for his other nukes to be there. Soul Rip comes out. Dubu with the Fire Blast there is going to repel any further aggression from Monkeys, but they do end up getting the kill on the Forev Beastmaster, the more valuable target. ESJ moving through the enemy jungle.
Stalking with Invis.
And Nusham finds him. Corrosive Haze is going to be there. They get the crush nicely overlapped. And nicely chained together, I should say. And they do get the kill on MP, but reaction is there with the Primal Roar onto Nusham, and with the Undying, they get an easy comeback kill. Forev already 2 levels in that Necro. Oh, just a level 1 Necro, excuse me. A little blind there. But BSJ going to team up with Nusham to bring down MP.
3 cores of Leviathan on the top of the top 5 network, pretty much, except for Necro. So this is a much better laning phase for them compared to last game for BSJ.
Guard are going to rotate in mid, clean up these units more than likely. Scream actually not going to connect on them. Does hit the 2 heroes, however. Nusham rotating in as well. Forev with the Bloodlust is able to back himself out to safety. BSJ has enough for the Midas spot lane. He'll complete it up.
This is good. Leviathan has all the pieces that they need. Like, everyone's got through the laning phase just fine. Their plan is probably going to ramp up once BSJ finishes his Blink Dagger. He has 800 gold currently. He'll get it pretty soon. And they're just going to keep taking fights. I think they'll just ignore the Storm and the Necro unless they step out of position and just kill off the Timber Undying Beastmaster with the Timber.
Hawk goes out bottom lane. Crush does connect onto 2. Reaper Scythe used rather early, but BSJ more than likely left for dead here. And yeah, he will end up dropping. So Reaper Scythe just able to keep him in range of vision from getting into the trees there. And they'll likely be able to transition this into a push as well with the Necro units up and Inner Beast level 2.
Looks like a trade in the mid as well. This is very good. Oh, Necro's porting in.
Gets burrowed up. Ice Path is going to be there to follow. They get the Scream and Pain off, but Ghost Shroud and QO heals to full. Garter trying to work on the Tombstone in the backlines. Nusham in trouble is going to be taken out. They do remove the Tombstone, though, if they want to fight. Monkeys is nearby. But meanwhile, the Beastmaster pressuring over in the Dire off lane into the tier 2 now. Corrosive Phase is there, but the Primal Roar coming through. And TP inbound from Monkeys is going to be canceled as Forev kills off the unit. Ubu trying to make it out as well. Ice Path will be there to cancel it. And so Leviathan side able to punish a couple of overextensions from Immortals. And perhaps looking for more, yeah. Forev does have a Hawk to kind of give him some vision, and Macropyre not enough to scout him out. Meanwhile, Immortals, QO and Febby going to be pushing in the mid lane. TP's inbound from Garter. And it's just within deny range now. QO trying to put some work into it. Garter does get the denial off. Monkeys just pressuring in bottom lane, as Timbers tend to do. Just shove your lane in, feel relatively safe, kind of bang on your tower very slowly over time. But he is rather low on mana here. Has a Soul Ring available, will chain up to the high ground. Tombstone going to be popped. MP going to pursue forward with the Overload. There's no one nearby here from Leviathan's side, but Monkeys, he pretty much gets all 5 heroes of Immortals to look to chase him, and Soul Ring gives him enough to make his way out.
Space.
Indeed, space created. BSJ bottom lane, 1,700 gold on his person. So near that alluring Blink Dagger. And double damage going to be queued up here by Garter. Yeah, top they do end up pursuing into Monkeys. Fire Blast will be there. And again, space created as they continue to push in towards this bottom lane. Tier 2 going to be taken out here shortly, more than likely. Glyph is available for the Dire, and it'll likely just delay the inevitable as their tier 1 drops top.
He got so cocky because he thought that he couldn't die if all 5 heroes poured it in, but with Roar and Book, they definitely have a way to kill him. He needs to be careful.
And Garter with the residual duration of this double damage. Rotating through the mid, him and Nusham unable to find anyone, though. Nusham, 1,400 gold on his person. Again, BSJ working on his Blink Dagger. Has enough gold at this point. Monkeys TP's in top lane once again. Forev, 25 seconds until he's got Roar and Necronomicon. So Monkeys this time feeling a little more confident. Gonna pop up the barrier and help finish off the wave as mid lane. Whitebeard the one to pick up the tower for his squad. Liquid Fire likely doing the deed.
We have Blink. I want to see what he does with this. Immediately they're going to group up mid and smoke. Probably the right thing to do here. And now, it was a little slow on the Leviathan side, but now that they have the Blink Dagger, they should be looking to take lots more fights here while the Storm is still catching up and trying to go for his Blitz Zone.
Looks like they're circling, you know, one of the few areas of the map where they have vision to try and play around this, as they'll shove in the bottom lane with Garter. Monkey's trying to make his way down. Oh, mid lane. Yeah, they get MP of all kills to find. And the reveal of the Blink Dagger is going to be a very successful one for Leviathan. Top lane, they throw out a Fire Blast, but still damage not nearly, it feels, enough from this triumvirate of heroes to kill off Monkeys. Monkeys even catches QO, keep him at bay with the Shockham, and now he's going to pressure forward onto this Necrophos, who has yet to use the Ghost Shroud and has a Force Staff, but gets Orchided up as Garter rotates in. Soulburn not needed to kill him off, as the Sonic Wave will be there. Febby able to TP out, but he leaves a 200 gold Tombstone bounty. And they'll get the Necrophos and the Storm in the last couple of minutes here. And this is certainly a very big window of opportunity for Leviathan, as they generate a 5k net worth lead in the top 3 contenders as far as net worth goes, all owned by the Dire side.
This is really good. The Sand King's really close to Blink now, especially if they can take a good fight. And it's kind of funny that, you know, you'd think Heartstopper is really good versus Timber, but when he has a hood and all his passive regen, he just heals each tick of the Heartstopper, so it's not really that big of a deal. It's more just about the Reaper Scythe and if they can get him low, but right now no one's really touching him because all they have for him is the Storm, and the Storm has had such a a weak start.
Yeah, after what was a good lane, MP's been killed a couple of times now. And it certainly has been costly. Just the Kaya on his person. Whitebeard does end up dying mid lane as he was simply on the low ground. And they don't expend much. They do use the Necro book to kill him. But still Roar available. And perhaps because of that, Immortals with a Hawk and their Primal Roar looking to make a move. Garter is rather vulnerable here if he blinks towards this regen rune. For now, he's playing it safe and actually does blink to safety in due time. BSJ blinks back as well. Zip forward from MP, looking to try and get the Queen of Pain. BSJ, Corrosive Haze is there. The Ice Path will force the Storm Spirit to zip out to the west. 2-0 nearby, but MP pretty much out of mana. Tombstone does go down on the high ground. Fire Blast will connect onto Nusham on the west side, and Whitebeard, he's left for dead as Reaper Scythe takes him out.
It's still a good look for Leviathan. I like that they have the pressure on the map. And Immortals feels like they have to 5-man at different heroes, and all they got was a Jakiro. Meanwhile, Monkey's just sitting top, taking the tier 2, and you know everyone's fine. All the cores are up. They're hitting Roshan right now. I do like the position they're in right now.
Yeah, very decisive movement from Leviathan. Straight for that Roche Pit as Whitebeard dies, knowing that they can't defend that tier 2, but they should be fairly happy with this trade. Monkeys as well, creating space again, top lane, or maybe feeding. We'll see which one it ends up being. He chains far away here, and yeah, he should be just fine to survive. 20 stacks of reactive, going to help him heal up. In the meantime, Garter picks himself up an Aegis as the rest of his unit finishes off Roche. So everything coming up Leviathan in the last couple of minutes.
This is big. I'd like to see them keep up the momentum with BSJ. He's probably going to finish up the Shadow Blade first and then go for another play. But co-op with Aegis at this stage in the game, I'd like to see them abuse that as much as possible.
Yeah. Orchid as well certainly has seemed to be very effective both against the Storm and the Necrophos. QO building into a Radiance, and Lincoln Sphere trying to come out for MP, but that's far a ways away, and there's nothing like a Lotus Orb on their side either. So definitely feels like they can get some work done with this extra life on their Queen of Pain.
Yeah, just look at the way that Immortals versus Leviathan is positioned. Immortals all around mid. Meanwhile, Jakiro can farm out bottom, push it out. They've got cores looking for kills. Blink Dagger on Sand King now. Immortals feels like they can't farm the lanes because there's so much initiation potential, and they're easy to get bursted down. They also feel like they need to commit so much to pick off the Timber. And now the Leviathan's positioning around, and it's even more dangerous to go for it.
Yeah, trying to garner a reaction top lane, and Forev is showing under the units. They get the Chakram Soul, the Crush is there, and it's an instant pick. Now they get the Orchid off onto the Undying, and Sonic Wave will come over the top. He gets the Soul Rip off. Garter gonna get Reaper Scythe, but he's still alive and has Aegis. And now with 2 heroes down and a major cooldown used as well, they're going to pursue forward for more. Epicenter's there. Nusham with his Blink Dagger finds a 3rd kill on the back. And the tier 2 is going to be the reward. 3 heroes down. Why not pressure the high ground? They have Aegis. All 3 of these heroes for the Radiant side do have buyback. We'll see if they expend it here. Not the quickest building push for Leviathan, so perhaps they hold on to at least the Beastmaster's buyback. Jump forward, though. Now in trouble is going to be the Ogre for Immortals, and Dubu is going to just get melted in the mid lane. Yeah, it's a rather low respawn time, but not committing here for Immortals as far as buybacks go is going to mean that at least this top laner Rack's taken out. MP still trying to clean up the wave and maybe clean up Garter with these zips forward.
That was literally the best position they could be in. Oh. MP?
Arcane Rune and the Kaya up onto MP. He's jumping forward. Gets crushed up, though. Macropyre is there with the chain. They finish him. Febby coming through with QO. Tombstone is kind of too far south of this fight, however. And Spirit Vessel going to be thrown onto Whitebeard. They get the crush off. Whitebeard going to follow up with the Ice Path and the Dual Breath. Primal Roar will be able to bring down BSJ. But still, feeling fairly healthy is this Leviathan squad. Monkeys Forever in the front lines is not even tended to at all by this Radiant side, as they'll take out the Tombstone, get themselves a little bit of... Oh, actually, they just let it expire. Okay. Fire Blast going to fly out. Monkey's still in the front lines. 20 Bloodstone charges on this Timber Saw. Gets the Whirling Death off onto Febby. And Newsham low on mana now on the Sand King is going to be taken out. Necros had the true sight there.
They need to just back off and take what they got. That was so greedy of them. Like they don't, you can't really kill the heroes that quickly. They're just wasting their time being cocky. But like, yeah, this is the best position they could be in because the Storm, like I said, when he's farming that Bloodstone and even when he has it, he doesn't want to be fighting 5v5 like this. So it's really nice positioning.
Oh,
nice
MP. He's just going to feed bottom lane as not respecting the Orchid of Garter. Thought he could kill him off and instantly silenced up. Monkey's coming through with the extra just bit of damage from the Chakram to ensure that he drops. And MP 3 deaths in about the last couple of minutes.
It's like Immortals was planning to have a lot more space this game. Because when you pick a Storm, you feel like you can go later and later and take fights much later in the game. But because there was a Slardar pick, the tempo of this game is way too fast for a Storm to deal with. And the fact that this Timber has so many good matchups, they can't kill him at all. It's such a good position. I feel like if they don't throw and they take the next Roshan, they'll be able to close out another Rax at least. And they can even, if they take one good team fight, they probably can take another Rax. Yeah,
Shrines are vulnerable in the meantime, as they'll work on the southern one for the Radiant side after taking that melee Rax top lane. 24 minutes in, still looking at least 3 minutes until the Roche spawn. As Immortals begin to park themselves up on the north side of the map, the only place where they feel it's safe. They do have a little bit of vision down, the Radiant side does, so aware of the position of at least some of these Leviathan heroes. In the meantime, BSJ, he's picked himself up a Shadow Blade on top of the Blink, so looking to continue to hunt and working on a BKB thereafter.
Yeah, nice builds working out. The Midas paying off. He's keeping up while being able to gank around the map. He doesn't need to be the #1 farmer on his team, but he's definitely keeping up and certainly ahead of Immortals.
Under the cover of Shadow Blade now, BSJ looking for an opening. Febby perhaps not the ideal hero as he's going to pop up the ultimate. They get the tombstone down and they will just full commit onto Monkeys, and the reaction not there in time. As Whitebeard throws out the Ice Path, but MP's going to find him with his last bit of mana. Looks like the Jakiro should fall here as well, but I mean, there's no Roshan up just yet, so Leviathan not going to be extremely displeased with that result. It still was a nice snap reaction on the Timber there.
I don't want to sound like Mr. Hindsight because I was actually going to say this. I just held off. I was going to say I hope they don't like try to force the issue too much because their advantage was how they were positioned, right? I mentioned how they could farm, push out all the waves, get items, and Immortals have to kind of clump up. They don't need to group up like this. They should keep looking for those opportunities and spreading them out, spreading the map out, because they have initiation advantage. Immortals is scared as hell to farm, and they have lots of room to go.
Yeah, top lane they are going to find Forev. They'll even expend the Epicenter to ensure he's killed off quickly. Now Orchid going to come through onto Febby, and with the Soul Burn, he should just be dead here. Sticks up and actually gets the Tombstone off before he dies, but it's just going to be a free bit of gold on the backside of this.
Exactly like this. They need, because Immortals, they're trying to keep up with this lane pressure. You got Monkeys in bottom, Jakiro's just doing whatever he wants, and then all these heroes that they're so vulnerable by themselves, and that's how they're going to win the game, just with those pickoffs.
Dubu going to throw out an Ignite, and instantly going to get crushed up here. BSJ feeling confident with the Burrow Strike. Sonic Wave over the top is just short as Dubu able to stick up. MP, though, he's going to get Orchided up, and he's silenced and in trouble here with the Scream. They'll bring down the Storm. He has a buyback available. And for now, is going to withhold it as Monkey's up to the high ground. 10 seconds until the Undying is up. And does have the Tombstone at the ready. Flesh Golem there too. But in fighting shape for sure is the Leviathan lineup. BSJ jumping forward is going to find the Crush onto QO. Primal Roar going to come out. But they're doing a lot of damage to this Necrophos. Can they kill him off in time? Need a little bit more. He's going to get soul ripped up. Meanwhile, MP does take out BSJ. QO Necrophos does die on the back lines. MP almost out of mana here on the Storm Spirit. Needs to be careful. He zips back, but the blink forward from Garter finds the kill. 3 heroes dead, 4 heroes dead. No buybacks available for the Radiant side, and Garter still fighting strong.
He gets Tombstone on death. There was 2 Tombstones. Wow,
there were...
oh my god.
Yeah, there were a lot of zombies.
From from the way that they were positioning on the map, getting the 2 pickoffs leading into the racks and tons of buybacks from Immortals. The game is pretty much over at this point. So I just want to say Leviathan's looking really good today. Everyone showed up, everyone's playing well. Even though BSJ didn't have the best game in game 2, don't blame too much on him. He played like he did as best he could, honestly. That lane is very hard. He got drafted early, but when, like you see here, BSJ being able to play the Slardar, that was the big deciding factor in the draft.
Yeah.
There's no way that Immortals could have, seen that coming.
Yeah, playing at a really high tempo, Leviathan side, and like you mentioned, MP just unable to get a footing in this game as they just continue to apply this pressure, force a lot of, or at least gain a lot of information from Monkeys just constantly pushing down a lane and finding the pickoffs elsewhere. And now, just to make it worse for wear for Immortals, it's going to be a rather quick Roche attempt. Well, actually, they'll be tentative here. They have mega creeps, so really no rush for the Leviathan side. Whitebeard, perfect game sense. Gonna bring down the entire Immortals lineup. Now, Lotus Orb is gonna be there to reflect the Primal Roar. They do get a nice stop off onto BSJ, and QO will be able to force out of the pit. Now Sonic Wave gonna fly through though, and everyone taking so much damage as the Ball Lightning flies through from MP. They're actually looking to clean up Leviathan here. 4 heroes dead, and this is gonna mean a Roche as well.
They're being so cocky. There's like they don't have to make any of those plays, and the positioning was all wrong just because they would decide to take the fight there. I don't know if it makes that big of a difference. You got the Roche in here, but that's definitely like overconfidence. They're probably celebrating a bit too early.
Yeah. Garter though gonna put in some work in the mid lane here on these tier 4s as QO rotates in. Doesn't have the Reaper Scythe available. Does have a cheese on his person, the Necrophos, so can at least with Solace be able to push those waves back out. But they actually do quite a bit of damage to one of the tier 4s in the mid lane.
While things are like quieting down while everyone's respawning, it's important to note that like during the series, how the mental game changed. Usually the team with the mental advantage is the one that's in the prime position to take the series. As you can see, Immortals pretty much copied 100% the Undying and Ogre support duo from Leviathan, feeling the pressure on the lanes, and ultimately, that's not probably something they would have went for immediately, and that's the thing that Leviathan brought to this series. They put pressure on Immortals during the draft, and Immortals couldn't really make any reads on them besides the ones they gave, like the freaking Razor in the first phase. But Leviathan came with some fresh stuff, and Immortals had a really difficult time dealing with it here.
Certainly showing their versatility as, their patented support duo being taken away from them in game 3, and they come back with these Timbersaw and Slardar picks, which to some extent look kind of awkward in the draft screen, but they certainly made it work with the safe lane Slardar and how much they could push the tempo of this game. Garter coming out of his mid lane with more than enough to be a big contributor here as well. So Leviathan, yeah, like you said earlier, they just kind of put it all together in this series today, and it looks like it should pay off.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they swapped their drafter mid-series a couple, like a week or 2 weeks ago, from BSJ and to Whitebeard. And Whitebeard has a lot of experience. I played with him personally. He's very smart, very bright. He's like adding this new vibrance to the team. They have good players. Monkeys has really evolved over time, and BSJ has gotten a lot better since the times. People used to clown on him a lot, but he's been putting in the work and grinding. He's been working hard, and then they got Garter over from Europe. He's been, he's always been really close to being a breakout player over there, and versus the good teams. Even when I went over to Europe, played with Kai P, Garter was one of my main competitions. He's a really good player, so I'm glad to see that Leviathan is putting up a fight and actually being a competitor, making some space in this NA scene.
Yeah, one of the most competitive regions in Dota right now as well, so not an easy one to kind of make your name in. Palmer were going to fly out, but the Ice Path was there in time onto Forev, and he's just going to burn in this Macro Pyre. They do get the Jakiro kill. MP, though, he's expended a lot for it, and is going to be forced to back out. Meanwhile, Garter in towards the mid lane is going to find himself QO. See if he wants to pressure forward for this. No, the cheese will be used up by QO. Meanwhile, Monkey's trying to chase forward for MP. MP will be able to zip back to safety, and Monkeys will try and clean up Forev's Necro units.
Yeah. With all the praise and everything, like, you know, they fucked up really bad, royally. The fact that they lost to Roshan. Right now they're just thinking like, okay, you know, we just wait out the ages. We don't want to give him more Bloodstone charges. That we don't want to take a.
I'm over here.
Like, they pretty much have to wait. They can't just bulldoze down mid, or they could, but it's a lot riskier than waiting out the ages. So that's why it's also down. And really take these bad fights.
Garter looking to complete up his Mjolnir. Will have enough here if he forgoes buyback. But as you mentioned, kind of the major reason that they won't press down mid lane here is that Aegis, which should expire rather shortly here in about a minute or so. Kaya for Whitebeard. How often do you get to see the support Jakiro build a Kaya?
He's been doing this a lot in his practice. I've seen some of his pubs. He ends up as a 5-position support. He's doing basically second highest damage on his team a lot of times. Like if we check out his damage at the end of this game, it might be an interesting statistic. But the Kaya definitely boosts his damage overall, and puts out so much damage.
Double damage.
And the Monkeys dies.
No, they do end up actually getting Monkeys there. 80 seconds on the sideline, no buyback. But they want to make him pay for it. Reaper Scythe already down. The QO kill is ripe for the taking. Epicenter going to come through from Nusham. They'll get Dubu on the back of it. BSJ going to pop the BKB. Has a sprint and a blink available. Now he'll find Febby alongside Garter. They'll take him out. Buyback immediately from QO. MP taking a lot of damage. Is forced to Yules up. He'll come back down, though, into the Ice Path. And the Storm Spirit with no buyback taken out. Leviathan being tentative here, being cautious as they're unaware of that. But the two-man burrow and the Sonic Wave, Nusham and Garter, triple kill for the Queen of Pain as Immortals are going to be bested in this series by Leviathan. And a really great showing from them overall today. Strategy and play. A couple of, you know, speed bumps on the road to victory, but overall Leviathan looking fairly sharp, fairly impressive here up against Immortals. It's not the end of the road for Immortals just yet. They will drop down to the lower bracket, so still alive, but into the finals will be Leviathan and their squad, so definitely a nice little morale boost for them.
Hey, good stuff. Said everything I need to say about Leviathan. Immortals definitely a strong team. I think between those two, I know personally that they've been playing each other a lot, so it's kind of got the better stick or hand, whatever, in their scrims and all that. So I think Leviathan's just adjusting, and it's just a matter of time before Immortals kind of catches on, and then, you know, that's why it looks so lopsided, because, you know, when you win so much, you don't really learn as much as when you're losing. Leviathan definitely them for and playing them in matches is good.
All right, guys. So Leviathan will take the series win. Still have another best of 3 coming your way this evening, and it's actually scheduled to start fairly shortly. So stick around. That is going to be Vici J Storm taking on Wheel Wreck while whistling. So another great NA matchup coming your way shortly. Hope you guys have enjoyed the cast thus far. You can follow myself over on Twitter at MRPDota if you have, and you can follow my lovely and insightful co-caster over at FluffDota on Twitter. Stick around, guys. Immortals going to drop the series here at Leviathan 2-1 winner. VCJ Storm versus Wheel Wreck coming up shortly.